Obviously, we mentioned the patient, for those who don't know, is the person that comes to your practice because they have a particular problem. So we refer to a patient as that particular individual. The customer is the person who purchases something from you, whatever it is, or someone who pays for a particular service. And the client is the person that keeps coming back. So the customer might not necessarily be someone who purchased something from your particular practice, but the client is the one that keeps coming to the very same business. All right. And so this next session of the training looks at the different components of all three. There are certain defining characteristics of the patient, the customer, and the client. Number one question for the patient, anyone? What do you think a patient will ask as a question versus what a customer will ask as a question versus what the client has as a question? Here's a chart. Can everyone see at the back there? It's too small. All right. So we've written down here, the patient will want the diagnosis of their problem. So you need to be very clear and specific when outlining what is wrong with whatever it is that they're complaining about. Whereas the customer, remember the customer has already received glasses, whether from you or elsewhere. They want you to outline what the current prognosis is and detail the benefits of what they received. So for a practical example, don't take it for granted that people know. So if it's a customer that is wearing glasses for the second time, make sure that you get as much information from them in terms of how was the visual experience, how was the lifestyle experience, how was the overall experience with the solution that they had received from the previous time. Did it meet all their expectations? What were the concerns that they had which they want you to address today when they come to your business? So that, for example, when you say, when you outline what the current prognosis is, you're telling them what to expect going forward with regards to their vision. So it's very, very important that as the optometrist in the practices, you explain that in those meetings that we mentioned, what vision a person who with a -1 is actually seeing versus a -5 versus a -5 with a -3 cell. So from time to time, get into those explanations with the staff. The more you do it, when a patient comes or a customer comes in for a collection of their glasses and the file is there, but this person is a -2 or -3, but they come in and they're not wearing their glasses or their contact lenses. When the particular staff member dispenses a particular pair of eyewear, for example, they are able to confidently, we'll see there's a screenshot later on of what needs to be on the file, where they will be able to look at what's on the file and say, sir, just remember, this is how you're supposed to wear your glasses. So you'll see now, whereas the client wants to know, are you ready for their return? That example we made earlier on of Mr. Breitenbach, who has been coming 6 years in the practice, but you don't know that he's Mr. Breitenbach, needs to change. The answers required the most by the patient is they want to know exactly why they have the problem, what causes it, and how it can be solved. And will the solution be permanent? So with the patient, give them as much information as possible so that you're starting them off with the best possible solution. Because if you give someone the basic, you're going to find it very difficult to upgrade them next time they come to your practice. But if you started them off with the very best, so even that individual who comes in with those medical aids that are on a package, and they only are having, let's say they only have, 600 rands or 600 plus as their medical aid optical benefit portion, your responsibility is not to provide them with what the medical aid pays for. Your responsibility as a practice, especially the optometry staff, when you are explaining that, sir, yesterday Magnus wrote on the test card, single vision ARC transitions, and you're also ordering contact lenses. But the medical aid says that individual only wants only has 660, for example. And now you can't explain further with regards why you're prescribing what you're prescribing, because your next patient is waiting. And you give the test card to your staff member. The staff member's responsibility is not to take that particular individual to the frames where the packages are offered. Worst mistake. You sit them down. Always remember, before you dispense anything, have the discussions first. So on your test card, you might even, I don't know how your test card looks like, you might have to consider rewriting your test card so that the section that has to do with what you're prescribing is not just 2 lines where you've just written single vision ARC transitions. You have written, you might have to do that in the beginning, or have a separate sheet for the staff that mentions single vision ARC with transitions. These are the clinical features and benefits of it. Multifocal ARC with transitions, these are the features and benefits of that. So the staff member, each staff member needs to have like their own private file like this, very small, with those little quick tips that they have. So that you know in your private time, you have already gone through that in as much detail as you possibly can. So when you're explaining to the particular patient who only has 660 on their medical aid, and you have set them down to discuss, you are going to say, sir, the optometrist has prescribed the following for you. These are the benefits you should expect to, or this is the experience you will get with what's been recommended, and these are the benefits of the anti-glare, the transitions, whatever it is that the optometrist has written down. Remember, the frame is not there yet. Don't get into the discussion of pricing too quickly without having established that this person fully understands what is wrong with their vision and what it will take for that vision to solve it. So that when that person really cannot afford to pay for the anti-glare, to pay for the transitions, you are in a confident position to explain that which they came for, they will still be dealing with going forward. And it answers that question of, ever since I've been wearing these glasses, my vision is not right. Yes, sir, your vision is not right because you are supposed to have anti-glare, not just any anti-glare, this kind of anti-glare. So you get more confident. The more you do it, when should you do it? Every patient. Should you sit down with every patient? Yes, unless your patient sees patients every hour on the dot, every single day. If that is the case, then when we leave here, Mr. Rada can send us an email. We will find you a dedicated dispenser who will work in that particular practice, and that person's job will be to do exactly what I've just described right now. But if that is not the case, and there is time in the practice to really have those discussions, let it be the case. Very, very important. Whereas if you look at the customer, for example, is the management options. Always have an awareness of what they're wearing versus what they're supposed to be wearing versus where the upgrade potential is. No ARC, offer ARC. One pair of glasses, offer the second pair. Not wearing contact lenses, offer contact lenses. If a person looks like, I can't make the example of myself. I'll get there. I would have gone to, if a person looks fit and well trained like myself, but I will get there. So for now, the only reference point, and I put it in inverted commas, it's a huge, like inverted commas, is David over there. But every single person that walks into your practice looking like David, you're offering him contact lenses. Every And so, case history in the morning, in the beginning of your questions that you ask with the patient, get as much information as possible surrounding their lifestyle, not necessarily that they can't see the computer. So the more information you have about their lifestyle, you'll get to see that this person is a runner, that one is a cyclist, that person is doing that. This one sits in front of a computer, but they go out a lot or they do this. This one plays golf, this one does this. So that when you're discussing the management options available, you are going into detail with regards, this eyewear solves this problem. This pair of contact lenses solves that problem. The second pair of spectacles solves that problem. However, since your medical aid only gives you, actually, don't even touch that. Don't get into what the medical aid pays and doesn't pay. Tell them what they're getting before you even select the frames, right? Because let's face it, there's not really much that you can do with a medical aid option that really doesn't cover anything. So talk all of those things first while they're sitting down, and then explain to them what their medical aid is paying. At that stage, you made them comfortable before they saw the optometrist. The optometrist made them comfortable, reassured them during the eye test. When they step out of the eye examination room, they come back to you now. You're confident, you've already checked their benefits long before they even come out. They are ready to have their problem sorted out. So you are telling them how you're solving that problem. Then when you come to the issue of affordability, it's up to them now at that stage. You have done all that you possibly can to ensure that that particular month, instead of them buying the extra pair of shoes, they will put that towards their glasses. And by the way, if you are dealing with a lady who is a customer, it's very easy for you to know whether she can afford it or not. It's so quick. You see it immediately. Immediately. Look at her hair. Look at her hair. Look at her hair. Very, very easy. The hair tells you that this person can afford or cannot afford. Simple as that. So don't be afraid. People, and you see when we do the sales section, when we do the sales section, they are looking at, people are always thinking, this month, where am I going to be spending my money on? Your job is literally convincing them that that month, the money is going to be spent on eyewear instead of the weave. So when you have explained, you won't have many difficulties, because when the person comes back and says, you know what, Obi, I really can't afford this. Then when you start knocking down the price, so from 4,000, you now need to bring it to 660 from 4,000. And you're like, the worst mistake you can do is offer nothing coming this way. So you literally sit them down, tell them that, okay, the second best option is this one. The third best option is this one. And as you're explaining the second and the third best option of the management, right, you need to also highlight the impact of that on the eyewear experience. So it's very, very important that that is very clear to them. But also be flexible. As a team in that staff meeting, that's where you guys talk about where is the practice flexible. So when you now knocking off, if a person says to you, I'm not going to take the anti-glare, but they're willing to take the frame that is more than what the medical aid pays, it's your responsibility as the practice to know which products and services carry the most value. So sometimes a person chooses a better frame, but compromises on the quality of their vision. And you just happy you have made the sale. So knock down the price, but it's going to be very difficult if you started on a low base. You won't be able to convince someone that this blue control is better than the basic ARC. And so I'm not sure what the setup is. Maybe in the near future, you might have to look at technology that you can be able to demonstrate. Some of the companies you could get on your tablet or on the computer, where you can show a person the difference between glasses with anti-glare versus glasses without anti-glare. But up until you get that technology where you can literally demonstrate how a polarized lens looks like and what it does and what the benefits and the features are, you have to be confident enough to experience it. Quick example. Where did you get your glasses? Sorry? No. Which practice? This one? Yes. Okay. No coatings, right? You? From here. No coatings. From here, no coatings. No coatings. Nothing. Sorry, she was hiding. Yeah. My glasses. ARC. Here. Okay. Nothing. But you got them here, right?
ARC.
Yeah?
ARC.
It's in the car.
Yeah.
Those ones? Here.
Yeah,
This will be a very shocking thing if he got his glasses from Specsavers. What do you have on your glasses? Huh? Nothing. Nothing. Okay, I see. All right. So we can safely conclude that this lovely, awesome, amazing company is against anti-glare coating. Is it that the people don't ask for it? Few of them ask for it.
We actually dispense a lot of tint, fixed tint,
Okay.
and generic transition and
Either a fixed tint or a transition of some sort. All right. Is it the target market that you're dealing with that has resulted in that? And the?
and the ordering of the ARC as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, yeah.
All right. So those are so it's something that you need to look at, because there's a lot of other stuff on the lenses that you're not really taking advantage of. So if you're not having the discussions with the patients or the customers, you're not going to sell that. So it's very easy to sell what you're wearing. That's the quickest thing to sell anything. Because when you sell what you're wearing, you'll be sharing your own personal experience. And you'll be explaining to the customer on the advanced management options that prior to this pair of glasses, this is the problem that you had. This is your glasses that you got then were clear glasses. But you found that when you're doing a particular task or this particular task, you're not as comfortable as when you're doing the others. So when you came for your renewal on your second pair of glasses, you then put the anti-glare coating. And the difference that I've experienced from 2 years ago to now is as follows. My tasks have not changed. So 2 years ago, I was still working in this environment, doing the following things, spending X amount of time in front of a computer, driving at night. And now, the same tasks that I'm doing, I'm finding myself doing them better because I don't have any discomfort on my eyes. I'm very comfortable with the work that I'm doing. And so if you have to decide on whether you should go for it or not go for it, I can only talk from my own personal experience that this is the benefits from what I'm hearing. And then they come and talk to you. Let's say she was not the example, you talking to her, but you work with her. you are then saying the same thing, just from her perspective. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So even though you didn't experience it, but you are able to use her as an example. Your lenses, high refractive index material, all of that, you are able then to take her experiences and relate into your conversation with the customer, even though you're not wearing glasses. Does it make sense? Better yet, let's say no one in the, let's come to this corner. Let's say you're dealing in a practice where it's this corner, this rebellious corner, where no one is wearing anything, because I doubt he has contact lenses in. Absolutely not. So let's say this is the situation now in the practice, and you have to explain what I've just explained with the two examples. When you know your customers well, you will know that Baba Mkhize is wearing this, and that. And you can then make reference to say, we had a patient who 2 years ago, this is what was happening, and now this is what's happening. And according to him, this is the experience. So you always alter and use the example that works for your particular practice. But the more you talk about it, the easier it becomes as normal practice behavior in the practice. This is in the book. So I want us to get to the meat of stuff that are not in the book. So here I just highlighted the table, but in the book, you're finding detailed explanations with examples on each and every one of this. So I'll just look at the do's for the patient, for example. We said competence there, right? Number one rule, be the best at what you do for the patient, because you're either going to be the first practice that they came to and asked those questions, or in terms of how much is an eye test, I want to get my eyes tested, or you're going to be the practice that's going to be the decision maker as to, do they stick with you, or do they go back to that first practice that said it was 200 rands, as opposed to sticking with you that said 500 rands. So how you determine that, just be the best. You explain a quotation, use that example that we mentioned earlier on. For the customer, service delivery expectations, go the extra mile. So it starts in the very basic of things. Anyone wearing metal frames? I did not check. Yes. So be observant. When a person is wearing metal frames, please, can I get your glasses? And it's a customer, right? Obviously, she knew she was coming here today, so she replaced her nose pads because she knew that we're going to have the video guys here and everything. But if you kept them clean, these are very clean. So what happens is, with your customers, be very observant with their current eyewear. Look at them. They come and ask them, can I clean your glasses? Go the extra mile. Don't expect them to know. They don't know. No one told them that they need to clean the nose pads. So it starts there. Is the frame still fitting the way it was when you got it? Can I make necessary adjustments? Take it. Do something that says you care about them. Don't just think that people know, because honestly speaking, they don't know. And that's just an example of going the extra mile. You can use various other examples. Phoning them if there's a delay, instead of waiting for them to phone you to inquire about. So just think of whatever that it is that I'm doing with this particular individual. Have I given it everything that I possibly can to make sure that they're comfortable with everything? And the last one, relationship investment with the client. What we said here was, make them feel great about themselves. That's how you build loyalty with these individuals. Okay, so those are the characteristics that define a consumer.